Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, as we get ready for WrestleMania 37, we're doing a best of. We've already ranked the ticker matches. We've ranked all the main events. Now we're going to look at the best matches in WrestleMania history. Now, through the 36 WrestleManias that we've had already, we've had 358 matches. 323 men's, 30 women, and 5 intergender. What is very fascinating to me with the women's matches at WrestleMania, from WrestleMania 1 through 30, there were 13 women's matches. In the last 8 shows, there's been 17 women's matches. So that's just mind-boggling to me. How many more women's matches we've had over the last 8 shows, which is good. So a lot of the women's matches are really, really good. I would say from WrestleMania 32 through 36, and obviously 37 got some phenomenal matches on it. WWE has let the women go out there and have the matches they should have. Not these Playboy bunny matches or all this garbage, you know. You know, some of the early women's matches, Playboy Bunny Mania, Playboy Pillow Fight, Playboy Evening Gown, a cat fight. These matches were lasting 3 to 5 minutes, that was it. Now we have women going out there and wrestling some of the longer women's matches, having between 10 minutes and 21 minutes. Last year in WrestleMania 36, the 2 of the women's matches on night 2, 19 minutes and 20 minutes. The second and third longest in Mania history. So, I'm glad we don't have the short crap matches anymore. So let's look at the 10 best. Number 10 comes from WrestleMania 35. It's for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We have the champions, Boston Hug Connection, Bayley and Sasha Banks, versus the Iconic, because they're iconic, versus Beth Phoenix and Natalya versus Nia Jax and Tamina. The Iconics got the win there. That was a 2 1/4 star match. Number 9 comes from WrestleMania 34. We had the Raw Women's title on the line. We had champion Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. We had Nia Jax getting the victory there in a 2 1/2 star match. Number 8 comes from WrestleMania 33. We had Raw Women's title in a 4-way elimination match. We had champion Bayley versus Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair. Bayley getting the victory in a 2 3/4 star match. Number 7 on the list comes from WrestleMania 36, Night 1. We had the women tag titles on the line. We had champions the Kabuki Warriors, which was Kairi Sane and Asuka, versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. The team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross getting the victory. I gave it 2 3/4 star. Number 6 on the list comes from WrestleMania 36, Night 2. We had the SmackDown Women's title on the line in a 5-way scramble match. We had champion Bayley versus Sasha Banks versus Lacey Evans versus Naomi versus Tamina. Bayley retaining her title in a 3-star match. Number 5 comes from WrestleMania 36, Night 1, with a Raw Women's title. We had champion Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. Becky retaining her title in a 3-star match, which was her last match until she went off to have her child with Seth Rollins, and hopefully we'll get a return either Monday after Raw or SummerSlam. Number 4 was the only women's main event in WrestleMania history, WrestleMania 35. Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey versus SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. The man, Becky Lynch, getting the victory, becoming a dual champion, 3 1/2 star match. Number 3 on the list comes from WrestleMania 36, Night 2. The NXT Women's title on the line, champion Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair getting the victory there in a 3 1/2 star match. Number 2 on the list comes from WrestleMania 32 for the Raw Women's title, champion Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Charlotte Flair getting the victory in a 4-star match. And the very best match in WrestleMania history up until this point came from WrestleMania 34 SmackDown Women's title, the undefeated Asuka versus SmackDown champion Charlotte Flair. In a classic match that went 4.5 star, Charlotte Flair not only retaining her title, but beating Asuka's streak. Charlotte was ready for Asuka that night. Now, as we look through the men's matches, so many great matches, how do you narrow it down to 10? I did it! Now, some may agree or disagree with the order, some agree or disagree with matches that were left off. Now, if you look at WrestleMania history, some of the matches that got left off of this list. We had Undertaker and Triple H at WrestleMania 28 Hell in a Cell. We had Kurt and Shawn at WrestleMania 21. Undertaker and Punk at WrestleMania 29. We had Seth Rollins versus The Miz versus Finn Balor for the IC title at WrestleMania 34. We had the epic ladder matches at WrestleMania 31 and 32 for the IC title. We had the epic IC title match versus world title match at WrestleMania 6. We had WWE title, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton versus Batista at WrestleMania 30. We had WrestleMania 31, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. Those were all 4.5 star matches that got left off the top 10 matches in WrestleMania history. Let's get to that list. Number 10, one of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania history for the Intercontinental title from WrestleMania 3. We had champion Randy Macho Man Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. One of the most iconic Intercontinental title matches of all time, 4.5 star match. The Dragon Ricky Steamboat getting the victory. Number 9, WrestleMania, like I said, I did put this one on the list. WrestleMania 30, the WWE title on the line, champion Randy Orton versus Batista versus Daniel Bryan. As we remember, Daniel Bryan had to wrestle Triple H in a 20-minute match to start to show up. That was like 4 star. To go onto this match, to win the title, to end WrestleMania 30 as WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I was there. I watched Daniel Bryan win his first WWE title. I watched The Undertaker lose. Sad, sad, sad moments. Or, for Taker, 4.5 star. Number 8. I would say this was the match that kind of was the Attitude Era. WrestleMania 17, no disqualification, World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight title on the line. Champion The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold getting the victory, 4.5 star. These two guys kind of, if you look at the Attitude Era, WrestleMania 15 was kind of the beginning of everything. These two, the feud that these two had, where these two took that feud. 17 was the peak. 19 was a, hey, you know what, we're both stepping away, let's go out and put one more match on. So from 15 to 19, that 4-year period was really the Attitude Era. Pyramid. WrestleMania 15, 17, 19. Number 7. This was the beginning match at WrestleMania 10. Brother versus brother. Owen Hart versus Bret Hart. Bret Hart had a world title match later in the evening, mind you. He lost to his brother Owen in a 4 3/4 star match. According to Dave Meltzer, the rematch of this at SummerSlam was 5 star. I think he gave this one 5. That was before I was giving matches 5 star. This is one of those matches that if you go back and rewatch it, it could be 4 3/4, 5. That little quarter star is not going to make a world of difference because this match was damn good. Number 6 on the list comes from WrestleMania 26, career versus streak. The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. The match that ended the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Taker getting the victory. I gave it 4 3/4. I think it was a tick less than what 25 was, but it was a damn good match. Number 5 on the list. Another most iconic matches. We've seen the pictures, the video. The submission match at WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart. Ken Shamrock, the special referee, the bloody face of Steve Austin, not tapping out to the sharpshooter, passing out, and Bret Hart getting the victory. I gave that 4 3/4. Number 4 on the list comes from WrestleMania 20, main event, World Heavyweight Title, champion Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit. Benoit getting the victory, overcoming a lot in his career at that point, not being looked as a main event guy. Was a cruiserweight guy in WCW. At WrestleMania 20, we had Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, both World Heavyweight Champions in WWE after being looked over and passed on in WCW. Match was 4 3/4 star. Number 3 on the list comes from WrestleMania 10. Yep, y'all know where we're going with this. The Intercontinental title in a ladder match. Intercontinental Champion Razor Ramon versus Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels. Shawn was suspended, stripped of the title, never says he lost the title. They had the match. Razor won the match. 4 3/4 star. Standalone NXT TakeOver Standalone Night 2. Stand and Deliver Night 2. Cruiserweight NXT Cruiserweight title on the line. Santos Escobar and Jordan Devlin. Similar storyline. We all seen NXT when Shawn pulls the ladder out, pushes the ladder in the ring. First thing, as soon as Shawn came out, this match came to mind. Haven't watched it yet. Maybe that's the same kind of match. Number 2 on the list. There's always got to be the first. WrestleMania 17. WWF Tag Team titles on the line. Not in a ladder match. Not in a tables match. Not in a chair match. In a tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my. The first ever TLC match. The champions, the Dudley Boys, versus Jeff and Matt Hardy, the Hardy Boys, versus the Rated R Superstar, Edge, and Captain Charisma, Christian. Who would think 20 years later, Edge and Christian are both still wrestling, the Hardys are both still wrestling? Who would have thunk it? Edge and Christian going out there and putting on a 4 3/4 star match, winning TLC, becoming known for TLC matches. Now we have Christian in AEW, we have Edge main event in WrestleMania, we have Jeff Hardy doing his thing, Matt Hardy doing his thing in AEW. If I would have told you 20 years ago that these 4 guys would be wrestling 20 years from now, 2 in one company, 2 in another company, y'all thought I was crazy. Alright, that leaves only 1 to me. And I would actually almost say to the Pulse family, this might be the best match in WrestleMania history. For sure it's mine. WrestleMania 25. I was there. Me and Jamie. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. If that is not go down as the greatest match in WrestleMania history, what y'all been watching? Go back and rewatch it. Just the story that those 2 legends told. The dive that Taker, when he dove out of the ring, and he had to tuck in because Sam Snuka couldn't catch him. And just the story that match told. You know, Shawn kicking out when Taker, and the first person to ever kick out of that, Shawn Michaels. In the history of their career, that was the first time they ever met at WrestleMania. It was like nuts. But yeah. And then to do it again the following year, yeah. But yeah, so that's going to be the best matches of the 358 matches in WrestleMania history. Now, we got 14 matches this weekend for WrestleMania. Can any of those matches make these lists? Oh, they could. Will they? But you know what? We're going to have fun watching it. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Until just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports show content.